Hello everyone, Burb here. Originally this topic was supposed to be a quick one because I had work this week, and so I was like, hey, let's make a video on another frustration of this CM. This should take me not that long. Well, it exploded into a very long discussion. You can see the length of the video, but it's not a 10-minute video, most likely. Recording this live, of course, but this topic essentially is, hey, have you noticed in the past couple weeks when we've been trying to do the CM that if you've been running a lot of SSRs, because we need a lot of good skills in the CM to be consistent, you're probably missing a Professor of Curvature from your Kitasan. You're probably missing a Turbo Sprint from your Bakashin, or you're missing your acceleration or mid-race speed skill from your Wit card, on your left, prepared to pass, or Speed Star. And that's been happening for a reason, and it's been happening more often on the Sprint CM than we've ever seen. A lot of that's to do with this card here, Rico Kashimoto, of course, and the fact that we can't really justify running it in the min-max build because we're really trying to high roll this. I was part of the camp at the start that I would jokingly say Rico bad, partially truthfully, partially not, because yes, it's a very good card. It's the cornerstone card for Haru, but it was very heavily pushed as an absolutely required card, and I still to this day do not believe it was absolutely required. You could very well easily substitute it as for something as little as a max SR Mayana Top Gun. I know this sounds weird, but as a proof of it, my winning ticket for this last CM was actually made Rico-less. It had 2 stamina cards, and yes, I had a good Super Creek, but that could have very easily been a Manhattan Cafe SR card, and it would have gotten a little bit less power and wit because I would have had to press the stamina button more. But other than that, this ticket won 6 times, mostly because it's a late surger, and that wasn't meta. But it had 26 second place finishes, a lot of it behind my Oguri cap. So I still attest that Rico's not required, but Rico does give a ton of consistency, as we found out from this experiment. And like I said, this is an experiment. So take this deck. This is the deck I've been running for Sprint CM. I know it has a Bakashin 1. Most people don't have Bakashin 1. Most people don't have Nice Nature. You can sub in your normal deck. I believe I changed it here. Yep. So this deck, I need a Kitasan to proc. I need Bakashin to proc. It would be nice if I got straight Excel from Nishino Flower. And I need some sort of, depending on what I'm running, I need some sort of acceleration or mid-race speed skill for my Wit card, right? If I'm running a more free-to-play deck, let's say, I'm probably borrowing Bakashin for all the good hints, and it's kind of the same thing. At this point, I kind of need straight Excel because I'm lacking other acceleration options. I have Turbo Sprint, and I need Kitasan Black to proc, of course, because I can't borrow Fine Motion, so I don't have a mid-race speed skill, right? So essentially, if for the deck I'm running, I need 4 things to proc, right? Don't necessarily need 4 things, closer to 3. And for the normal deck, I need like 3 things to proc, maybe 2.5 if you don't really want to count straightaway acceleration. Before I move any further, this is a experiment, and this has what I like to call quantization. This is signal processing. This means that you're taking an infinite signal with an infinite number of points, and you're trying to assign it finite values. And you would do this through Nyquist here and signals. Don't think of it like signals. Think of it like, hey, this is a feels-based experiment with an infinite number of possibilities. One, we don't know the mechanics of how the game chooses which events to go. So how it chooses which cards are going to miss or if cards are going to mix. But we can think about it in ways and change the variables to find revelations on how Rico Kashimoto helps us with our stability. So there's no baseline that's going to solve exact numbers in this experiment, but we're going to be able to glean from this experiment how different parameters and how they move essentially are causing all this frustration. So I hope that I explained that. You'll see very quickly when we get into it, but let's begin. For this experiment, a lot of times I'm going to choose the number 3. Because it's kind of in between the 3.5 good things that can proc in this deck and the 2.5 that on a free-to-play deck. And I was criticized a little bit that, like, hey, this is it's not a whale deck, but I've been playing the game a lot, so I have a lot of good cards. So this kind of will bridge the gap a little bit more for people. So I will choose the number 3 to make things simple on this. Essentially, the basis of this experiment, the first way you can think about this is, hey, a lot of times one of my cards misses for some reason or another. So when it misses, it could be Marvelous Sunday, and it doesn't matter. It could be Nishino Flower, and it's bad, but it's not a run killer. Or it can be catastrophic, and all of a sudden I have a subpar Uma that could be fine still if I high rolled in other aspects, but I'm missing Pro Curve, and it does not feel good to miss Pro Curve. So there's like different bases on whether or not missing a card in your deck from proccing has different level of badness. Close your eyes if you don't like math, right? For a little bit. Just give me 30 seconds, right? This is a hypergeometric distribution problem. It's essentially you have a population, you have a number of success states or special cases. You want to draw those special cases, and whenever you draw all of them, you have a success. You plug this into a binomial problem, and that's how you get your answer. You can open your eyes now. I'm going to explain this. We have a population of 6 here because we have 6 cards. We need 3 of them. Like I said, I'm choosing the number 3 because it's in between both of them. So we need Kitasan, we need Bakushin, and we need Fine Motion. Let's say we're making a Pace Chaser. We're going to ignore the 50-50 on her skill. We're not even going to get into that, okay? So let's take it here. We have a population of 6. We have 3 special cases. We need to hit all 3 special cases, and we have 5 draws. So we are 5 draws because we're going to miss one. No matter what, we're going to say we're going to miss one, because that's how this game is going to do it. So with 5 draws, with a population of 6, we plug it into this formula. We'll go over binomials, but essentially we have a 3-3 binomial, 3-2, and a 6-5. So how you read a binomial is you have 3 objects and 3 draws. So how many ways can you draw 3 objects? Can you draw 3 things out of a pool of 3 objects? The answer, of course, is 1. Imagine you have 3 balls, and you grab all 3 of them. That's the only way you can grab them without missing. You can't miss any, right? We then have a 3-2. We do the same thing. We have 3 balls on our table. We got to pick 2. How many ways can we pick different ones? Let's see. We have 3 cards here, right? Kitasan, Sunday, and Nice Nature. Well, if we pick 2 of them, we can pick Sunday and Nice Nature. We can pick Kitasan and Sunday. We can pick Kitasan and Nice Nature. So there's 3 ways we can do that. We do the same thing with 6-5, and you'll find that you have 6 ways that you can pick 5 cards out of a pool of 6, right? You change that down to 3 out of 6, 1 out of 2, simplification, and you have a 50% chance that something useful is taken from you, which kind of makes sense. If you're going to miss one, you have 3 good options and 3 bad options, right? The game, if you want to think about it a little further, it's more of an events-based. So really, you don't necessarily have a 3-3. That's a really nice and easy way to think about it. And how Rico would be put into this is, hey, Rico's skills are not based on chain events. So all of a sudden, instead of 3 things we need, if we're getting straight excel from Rico instead of a regular card, well, we only have 2 hits out of 5. So 2 out of 5 is a 40% instead of a 50%. So that's a nice little increase in consistency right there. But it's a lot bigger than that because it's events-based. So take a couple of examples. This is the deck I'm currently running. It has 16 events I need to hit. So just think 3 for this SSR, 6, 9, and you can choose. We're going to do 11 events and we're going to do 9 events. So if we wanted Nishino Flower as well for 11 events, there we go. If we, let's say, get the hint from Fine Mo instead, we only need 9 events, right? 9 particular specific special events, okay? Or we can take the free-to-play deck, quote unquote free-to-play, has Kitasan, right? 14 events total because we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This one had 16 because we're running a couple extra SSRs. And we know this from previous ones. You run more SSRs, you have a greater chance of missing events, right? We're going to assume you're going to miss 2 no matter what on this side, okay? It's, again, incredibly hard to quantify, but I just want to show how much this matters. Just missing 2 singular events, which I think you've seen before a lot, how that can affect it and how often that happens. It's the same problem We just now have a population of 16 events with 11 special events that we need to hit, and we have 14 draws because we're going to miss 2, right? So we plug it into the binomial problem. 11 over 11, this will be the same no matter what, because big K over little k will always be 11 over 11. And then we take, n minus k over n minus k. So 16 minus 11, 16 minus 11 over 14 minus 11, right? And then the denominator is big N over little n, 16, 14, right? These are all binomials. How you solve a binomial. Here's the math if you want it. It uses factorials, which essentially is like 3 factorial is 6 because it's 3 times 2 times 1. 5 factorial is 120 because it's 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. The equation is there. It's not necessarily important, but I wanted to include it if you really want to check all the math. But it's essentially a way of figuring out how many ways you can pick, three balls out of a pool of 5 or 3 cards out of a pool of 5, right? The answer is there's 10 different ways. This is just the mathematical way to solve it. So we're going to breeze by this math. There's a lot of math. But we do the same thing with the rest of it. So we have 10. We make that our numerator. Our denominator is 16, 14. You can actually simplify this down because the difference between 16 factorial and 14 factorial, well, they both have 14 factorial in them because 16 times 15 times 14 factorial is the same as 16 factorial. Another cool little simplification for you math nerds. But this all simplifies down into 16 times 15 over 2, which is 240 over 2 or 120. So your success rate of successfully hitting 11 events out of 16, assuming everything's random, right? And I know things change. This is not exactly a perfect model. It may not even be an accurate model. But even this is an 8.3% success rate, which is stupidly low. This is almost never going to happen if you need 4 cards to proc in a run. And I think if you've ran it before, it's certainly low. It may not be this low, but it's incredibly low chance that that happens. Just from removing Nishino Flower, which means that you're lowering 2 events, right? So if you're lowering 2 necessary events, right, your success rate increases from 8.3 to 17.5 because you're lowering the numerator. Essentially, you're increasing the numerator because you are lowering the draws. This will be important for the Rico analysis there. So just look, if you increase the numerator by lowering the big K and little k value, you see how big K and little k are in the numerator on this side. And by lowering this, it increases this. You increase the numerator, you increase the success chance by quite a lot, 8.3 to 17.5. Let's look at the free-to-play deck. We have a population of 14, 6, 6, and we're going to still say you're going to miss 2 in this deck, right? So if you miss 2 in this deck, even though you're still missing 2 because there's a lower number of things you're looking for, if you do the same math, you can check the math yourself if you want. You have a 31% almost chance of success just because you're looking for less things, okay? What also happens is you're clearing up the pool, so you have less events, right? So let's just say that this causes you to, because you don't need to draw 14 now, you're only going to need to draw 13. Just need some water, 1 sec. If you notice here, the denominator, the 14 over 13 denominator, goes from 91 all the way down to 14 just from increasing the number of draws. And that's because you're doing 13 out of 14 instead of 12 out of 14. There's much less ways to draw 13 balls out of a set of a 14 than there is 12 balls out of a set of 14. So by increasing the number of draws, because you're clearing up event spaces, if you're able to draw an extra draw, this is all theoretical, you increase your success chance by 27% just there, right? Obviously, if you increase it to 14, if you just say, hey, I am looking, there's a population of 14. If I only draw 14 events in a run no matter what, well, it's 100%, right? Because you're cutting out 2 events just from running less SSRs. And we know this because, like, if you run more SSRs, your probability of getting stuff you need goes down, right? That's the only side effect for running better cards. Rico Kashimoto. This card doesn't require chain events. It has one singular chain event instead of 3, and that chain event is the random event of when it's going to start, let's say. So that's the only thing that clogs it up, right? You also control the events that it's required. So you press the recreation button with her. Once you get to the 5th one, you get the skill. And she doesn't lower the draws at all because, again, it runs the same. It's not clogging it up at all. So you're going to draw probably more. But even if you keep it the same, if we just generalize this, we know Rico, because, like I said, it's 3 events total with the random events instead of 5. She's going to lower the total population of events in the pool, right? We don't know how much. This is, again, we're going to see the effects of this. You also lower the amount of things that you're looking for in the pool because you can control when you want the skill through your recreations. You also lower the number of hits required because you're not searching for them in the pool and you're not going and basing it on RNG. You are controlling it yet again. And even if you keep the draws the same, because it's impossible to model, hey, are we going to get an extra draw or not? If you look at the equation, big N minus big K, or little n minus little k in this equation, because you're lowering this and you're lowering these two, this is going to increase. And big N over little n, right? Big N is subtracted, little n stays the same. That's going to greatly decrease because, again, like I showed you in the previous one, 12 over 14, right? 12 over 14 has a 91 denominator, 13 over 14 has a 14 denominator. It greatly decreases. So essentially, your numerator is going to increase a massive amount. Your denominator is going to decrease a massive amount. And when you're doing both of these things, as we saw in the previous 2 examples, if you increase the numerator, which was this example here, right? You are increasing the numerator from 1 to 21. Your success rate goes from 8.3 to 17.5. In the second example, you're decreasing the denominator from 91 to 14, and you go from 30.7% to 57%. So this is, again, Rico gives lots of consistency, and it's not negligible because just these 2 little things, you have a 2.1 times increase in consistency and a 1.8 times increase in consistency. This is a little bit of napkin math, but I would attest that Rico Kachimoto, because of these 2 things, gives over a 3 times multiplier to your actual consistency, just because it affects so many things in the run. But in sprint, stamina is bad, so Rico is bad. You can run Rico if you want, but if you're min-maxing, it's very hard to justify in sprint because you need so much power, speed, and wit. Rico gives stamina and guts, the 2 stats that you don't need. So you're kind of putting yourself on the back foot. What I would say is if at this point, if you do not have your aces set, try a run or 2 with Rico and see how it feels. Straight acceleration, rushing gale, I believe is the gold version of it, is a good skill to run, and see if you can get some consistent runs and just get past this CM, honestly. This sprint CM is frustrating because of this, because stamina is completely useless, because guts isn't very good. It's okay because we're not reaching max speed until very late in the race. All our gold skills are from cards. We need turbo sprint, rushing gale, stuff like that. You don't need all of them, but they're all from cards, and they're not from PAL cards. And there's so many skills that work that you just feel that you're not getting the 100% best UMA that you could be getting. This is a preview to the next video I think I'm going to make, which is the next mile of CM is going to be much better, and it's going to be a welcome respite. It's going to basically take us halfway to what I think was, peak Uma Musume. And the reason is that you want 601 stamina. It's not required, but you want 601 stamina in the mile CM. Because of this and the different cards you have to run, you can't just run 2 speed, 3 wit every time. So you're going to have a more restrictive power, speed, and wit stat. And all the gold skills are mostly on the characters themselves. They're not on the cards. So you're not really doing RNG. It's just you're picking the good characters, or you're accepting white skills, right? That you can get from your parents and other sources. And you can run Rico, so you get all the benefits of this consistency. This cards gets it. Again, you math nerds, I apologize if this isn't a perfect modeling, but it's impossible when you don't know the mechanics of the game. We're just looking at the effects of just one card and how it gives. So in conclusion, this Sprint CM is an anomaly. Try to get through it. There's so many things in this CM that add to frustration that previous CMs don't have and future CMs also don't have. The next Sprint CM is going to even be better than this one because of certain skills that will work as well. So don't burn yourself out. At this point, I think we're coming pretty close. You have about 7 days left. You're coming pretty close to the time where I would say, because the 9th I think it's registration, that you should stop making sprints and going on to the next mile one. So keep strong out there. If you're feeling yourself burn out, this is temporary. Try to just run some team trials Zumas if you really have to, but take a break from the game. You're playing this game probably more than you ever have. Good luck out there. Look forward to what I think is a mile preview, the mile CM preview, I think I'll call it. I'll probably go over why it's better than the Sprint CM, in my opinion. And then after that, I think we're getting right into main season again. So we've been on the off season. So like I said, the uploads have been more sporadic. But we'll go back into the standard cadence of, running the overview and then the Pace Chaser, Late Surger, and End Closer guide. And if I have time in the Front Runner guide, but again, I'm not a Front Runner main. So that's what we have to look forward to. Thanks for spending this much time. I know it's a more complicated topic than I would have liked, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Good luck out there. Burb out.